All right, and still with the roads happening right now, the SIU remains on the scene in Richmond Hill after a two-car collision. It happened yesterday at the intersection of Yonge and Gamble around 1 p.m., and we're hearing that all these injuries are serious but non-life-threatening. Right now, it's not clear why or how police are involved, but both vehicles involved in this crash are not police-issued. We do have a camera en route. We'll bring you some visuals in just a couple minutes' time. Meanwhile, a violent night in our city with two separate shootings. Our Tammie Sutherland is live right now in the city's East End with details of the city's latest homicide. Tammie.
Oh, Melanie, it happened just near Morningside, north of Shepherd here on Janella Square. Police have confirmed that the victim who was shot and killed here does live on the street, but there's not much more information that's been provided so far. Now, the scene itself is pretty big. Detectives saying that it starts at a home just over there where the yellow tape is, and then it goes right around the corner itself. They're waiting for daylight to be able to take a better look at just how big this scene is. We spoke to detectives earlier this morning who laid out how they believe this happened.
Just before midnight, we get a call for sound of gunshots in the neighborhood of Janella and Morning View Trail. We have one male deceased. At this time, we don't have much information to release, other than we're looking for one male suspect dressed in dark clothing, last seen fleeing the area on foot.
Now, the neighbors who we've spoken to so far, many of them saying they did not hear the gunshots last night, and they don't know much about the people who live in the homes that are closer to the yellow tape that we showed you there where the scene began itself. Detectives telling us that they will be back here later this morning to provide more information on the victim who was killed. Melanie, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Tammie, thank you so much for that. And we are also watching a second shooting, which occurred in the other end of the city on Islington Avenue. Police responded to reports of gunshots and a car horn blaring around 11:30 last night at Islington and Kingsmore Gate, which is just north of Albion. They found a vehicle with bullet holes in it. A male victim slumped over, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He is now in hospital. Police say his injuries are serious but non-life-threatening. So far, there's been no arrest in this case. The federal Liberals offering up a few more details about legal pot, saying it will be sold in plain packaging with stark warnings about its possible dangers.
We want to make sure that THC levels are very clear, CBH levels are very clear, and also there will be health warnings on the package to ensure that people are aware that consuming cannabis does have health risks.
Ottawa will limit the colors and graphics to be used on the packaging. Among the warnings to go on the packages are the risks to those who may be pregnant and the dangers of mixing marijuana use with driving. Ottawa is to allow the public to have input for the next few months on their proposals. Pot expected to be legalized across the country on Canada Day of next year. Well, some big news on the TTC front. Big boss Andy Byford heading from Toronto to the Big Apple. Byford says after more than 5 years with the TTC, he's off to New York City to head the transit authority there. In announcing his move yesterday, Byford says his time in Toronto was the absolute highlight of his career. In his time here, Byford has helped spearhead a major subway signal upgrade and help customer relations. But a thorn in Byford's side is the Bombardier delays in new streetcar orders. The city should have 150 of the new vehicles by now. It only has 50 of them. Byford saying it's pretty frustrating. His last day, December the 22nd, his replacement will be named in July. Well, a year after the fact, Uber admits that hackers stole data of 57 million users and drivers. Also, the company confesses it paid the hackers $100,000 to keep quiet. Uber just admitted yesterday to this massive security breach. It says it will offer free credit monitoring and identity theft protection to the 600,000 of its drivers affected. Uber says it has since fired the people responsible for the cover-up. We've got some dramatic video now to show you out of South Korea. A North Korean defector fleeing the reclusive nation, dashing across the demilitarized zone in the south as soldiers ambush him. The United Nations now calling out North Korea for violating an armistice. Have a look at this video. You can see here, shows a soldier fleeing a vehicle here, running across the white borderline. The North Korean soldier briefly runs across the armistice line as he pursues this defector. Over 40 shots fired here, hitting the soldier at least 4 times. He hid in a pile of leaves for hours until South Korean soldiers were able to rescue him. He was taken to hospital in serious condition, is expected to survive. However, the UN says North Korea violated the terms of the 1953 armistice, which says both sides agreed not to execute any hostile act within, from, or against the demilitarized zone. A suicide bombing at a mosque in northeastern Nigeria has killed at least 50 people. So far, there has been no claim of responsibility, but it has all the hallmarks of the terror group Boko Haram. It's one of the deadliest attacks to take place since President Muhammadu Buhari came to power in 2015, pledging to end Boko Haram's 8-year insurgency. About 280 people have been killed so far this year in attacks by the militant group.